So, this is what happened. What you need to know about this is there's a combination of heavy metals like mercury and lead that fuse a hate and anger response with a fear response. When these two things when you become angry, you become scared. When you become scared, you become angry. This causes psychopathy. Psychopathy was what I was diagnosed with by the cinema guys. It's funny that they poison you with heavy metals and then go, oh, here's your diagnosis. Really? Is that my diagnosis? Or did you just poison me with heavy metals? Anyways, the psychopathy brought on by this. Now I'm going to explain it to you. So they had poisoned me with all these other heavy metals and I was retarded at this time. I didn't have any recollection of anything that happened. I get a call from Anal Mummy God, ring, ring, ring. And he goes, you have a massive ACC. And I said, I don't know what that is. And he said, it means you're extremely courageous. And I was like, what? And then he was like, I was like, how do you know I have a massive AAC? And he was like, because when you were president, you had a brain scan done, and you have a massive ACC. And I was like, I wasn't president of anything. Don't call me again. And I hung up on him. And then Blondie walks in, and he was like, he asked me for dating advice earlier. And he walks in, and he was like, there's this guy, and he gave me advice on a date to put a ring in the girl's food, and then she ate the food and drank the drink, and then the ring was gone. And she didn't marry me, and she didn't go out. And I was like, did you get that from a movie or something? Or did you ask some idiot that watched a movie and said that this was a movie thing? I was like, that's not how you get a girl, Blondie. And I was like, in between there, before that happened, he asked me what Anal Mummy God said, and I said that he said that I have a huge ACC. Yeah, my bad. A little bit of ADHD here. So I said I have a huge ACC, and Blondie said, a what? I was like, a big ACC. I was like, apparently it means I'm super courageous. And then Blondie, no, it doesn't. You're not courageous. You've never been courageous. You're making this all my fault. It wasn't because I poisoned you and did all those things. This didn't go bad. It was all your fault. It's always been your fault. I'll make it your fault. You did it. And I was like, what are you? I was like, Blondie, you got to get out of the blame game. When I was like 4 years old, I grew out of that. Stop blaming other people. I was like, it's a responsibility thing. Who did what to who? I was like, what did you do to me or somebody else, and when did you do it? And he's like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to anyone. And I was like, okay, well, anyways, Anal Mummy God said I had a big ACC. I was like, what are you talking about with this date and stuff? And then he proceeds to tell me about this girl he went on a date with. He put a ring in her food, and she ate all the food and drank all the drink, and then I laughed and said, is she really fat and she ate the ring? And then he was like, no, she's not really fat and she ate the ring. In fact, Bobby, you're wrong about everything. And I was like, okay. Whatever, dude. I was like, that's not how you go on a date with a girl. And I tell him, you go on a date with a girl, you take her to an arcade or whatever, you buy some drinks, you chill out and you laugh. And he's like, you drink? You're a drunk? I was like, I'm not a drunk. He's like, you lied. You said you don't do drugs. I was like, drinking isn't a drug. It's legal. You can drink. People drink. I was like, are you from some kind of cult? And he's like, I'm not from a cult. I was like, you are from a cult. I was like, Blondie, I was like, every time you come in here, you act like somebody that's from a fucking, what's it called? Isolated fucking society or some shit. Like, fucking, I forget what the word is. An isolated society. You're not connected to anything. It's almost as if you live in an imaginary fucking world. It was like, I don't live in an imaginary fucking world. And we get into a fight, and then he explains to me what a woman is and what a woman is. Basically, woman's a sex object, and you're just there to fuck her. And if she doesn't like that, then, well, that's not how things work. And I get pissed, and I tell him that's not what women are. And we have a big fight about it because he goes on about how women want a virile, sexual male. And you got to repress all your sexual urges so you can keep your virile, sexual nature. And I was like, do you just walk around anxious all the time and think it's a good thing? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, probably prematurely ejaculate everywhere. And he was like, I don't prematurely ejaculate. He totally prematurely ejaculates. Anyways, so we get into this fight. And I tell him, basically, you get a girl drunk. I was like, liquor loosens a person's lips. You're both drunk. You can connect with the person, and then you can talk. I was like, I like to play beer pong. Yeah. So Blondie, and the other guy, the black guy, Uncle Ruckus, Blondie goes, he gulps, and he's like, there's this guy, that's about to get everything in the world, including a woman I love. I want her, and I tried giving her a ring, and then he said I have to be funny, and then he said that I have to go drink, and I don't drink, because when you drink, you lose control. And I was like, so you have control issues? I don't have control issues. I don't have any insecurities. I'm not insecure. And then he was like, her name is Mary. I was like, is it Mary Bowberry? Because she doesn't like entitled people. This is funny because I have no recollection that I actually knew Mary Bowberry at the time, but I remembered that. I remembered that separate from not knowing knowing Mary Bowberry. That means I didn't remember Mary Bowberry, but I remembered she did not like entitled guys. And then he's like, she does like entitled guys. Girls love entitled guys. I was like, and what, you think girls just love a massive controlling ego that just crushes their life and sucks the soul out of them because some guy's ego's so big he can't see past himself and he just causes misery for everybody? He's like, I'm a superior being, and I go on a fucking thing making fun of Stu specifically, but I'm actually making fun of Blondie. Because Blondie and Stu are the same person. Anyways, like, he's like, I'm a superior being, and that means I'm entitled to shit that I'm not entitled to, and I'll fuck everybody up, scream, throw a tantrum, act passive-aggressive, ruin other people's lives, and do all the horrible shit, because I believe I'm entitled to it, and when you don't give it to me, I feel like I'm wrong, and then I overreact, and I have to lie to myself and say I'm superior, because my dad doesn't love me, and I don't know what self-love is, or any type of love is, and I don't understand any of these things, because I lie to myself my entire life, and told myself I'm superior, and now I ruin life for everybody because I have to be better than them, and if they're better than me, I act out spitefully and I fuck them up. And then Blondie was like, I don't do that. I don't do that. And I was like, right. And then I fucking got back to washing dishes. Blondie comes in, and this is the whole thing. Blondie's like, there's a guy with an ACC, he's super brave, and he's gonna chelate himself, and he's gonna get the girl and the money, and everybody's gonna like him, and they're gonna hate me because I did a bad thing, and I don't deserve to be hated. I'm the victim. I didn't do anything wrong, and he's a drunk. I was like, he's a drunk? I was like, okay. I was like, is this the same guy you told me about? He's a pedophile, he does all the drugs in the world, has sex with everybody, he does all the horrible shit. I was like, Blondie, don't worry about those guys. They take care of themselves. Drunkards take care of themselves. They will drink themselves to death, okay? I was like, leave this guy alone. But also in your brain, you think in black and white, and you think that this guy is a drunkard because he probably told you he had like one drink, or he drinks on the rare occasion, and you're like, he's a drunkard because I don't drink ever because I'm afraid of losing control. And he's, stop doing that. I was like, stop doing what? I was like, imitating Stu? And he's like, you're not imitating Stu, you're imitating me, because Stu and him are the same person. Anyways, Blondie does this thing, and this is how you know it's disingenuous. This is a thing all the church members do. They start gulping, and it makes them look nervous, and they sweat, and they keep doing that. And he goes, I want to, there's this guy, and dude, this is the thing. These people are so insecure, they can't ask for help directly. So what comes out is this roundabout fucking thing, where they're like, this guy, or this thing, or this, and it's so fucking annoying, it really is, because dude, just swallow your fucking pride and ask for fucking help. Old people ask for help, adults ask for help, people who don't want help ask for help, okay? You guys are so fragile, if you ask for help, you think it's the end of the fucking world, but on the other end, when somebody asks you for help, you think they're blaming you and making the situation your fault. What actually is happening is you're feeling agency for once in your life, something normal people have when they don't lie to themselves about feeling superior. So, Blondie's dumbass goes, this guy, and you know what? And he likes getting drunk, and I need to teach him a lesson about drinking. It's not good for you. And I was like, Blondie, people get drunk. I was like, if I were to go on a date, I would probably challenge a girl to beer pong, and we would drink, and then fucking, you know, like talk. And he was like, I can't do that. I'm not allowed. I was like, is it because you're from a fucking insular religious society that fucking just ruins life for everybody, and then you scream you're the victims in it? I was like, I bet you people aren't even allowed to dance. I'm not allowed to dance. I was like, are you just not allowed to have fun? And then you're like, oh, I'm going to find this free spirit, happy-go-lucky woman that likes being free, and I'm going to cage her in my stupid fucking religion and ruin her, and then take away her ability to be happy and free, and then go, oh, isn't this wonderful? We're fucking miserable together. I love it. And then he's like, stop it. Stop it. You know what, Bobby? You like beer? You like beer pong so much you like being a drunk? I was not a drunk. I actually rarely drink, believe it or not. You want to do that? Okay, man. I will play beer pong. So he blows the tetraled LSD in my face, and then he hypnotizes me into seeing us playing beer pong, and he puts Mercury in the cups. Yeah. And I think we're drinking beer and playing beer pong. And each time he sinks a cup, which he's terrible at. I sink all mine and his, but his have water in them. He's not getting drunk. He's being a fucking cock. He's not drinking Mercury because he's a fucker. Okay? This is what a dishonest, lying sack of shit looks like. Anyways, I take my shots, and I think I'm getting drunk when I'm actually poisoning myself with Mercury because I got hypnotized into doing it. And Blondie did this deliberately. He did it because he heard that I had a big ACC, which means I was brave, and he knew as soon as I chelated myself, I would go do the things. I would go punch the officer and I would call a bomb threat, punch the officer, and get this fucking done. And he can't stand that. He can't stand the idea of me being with Mary Bowberry. And I'm not bitching about the fact that I can't be with Mary Bowberry. I am stating the simple fact that this guy sabotaged the fuck out of this entire plan by poisoning me with Mercury. Okay. He poisoned the fuck out of me with fucking Mercury to destroy my ACC, and then goes, "You're a people pleaser. That's what you are. You're over there. You were sinking the cups. Thought you were fucking smart, didn't you? Oh yeah, Bobby's so smart." I was like, dude, I've never thought I was smarter than anybody. You thought you were smarter than me? And I was like, dude, you need to stop projecting on me. You seriously need to fucking stop projecting onto me. I was like, everything you do is a fucking projection, and it is driving me crazy. You remind me of my fucking father. I was like, I am seriously about to bust you in the mouth. And he's like, yeah, well, gee, I got you to drink the Mercury. I'm gonna destroy your ACC. Oh, I'm gonna get Mary. I was like, who the fuck is Mary? And he's, yeah, I'm gonna get her. It would not surprise me, is after all this bullshit, Blondie still hasn't figured it out. And I bet you he's going to watch this video and go, oh, Mary doesn't like the ego? She doesn't like the entitlement? I'm just going to go not have those, put it in my facade, boop, 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 and fool her. And we got into a talk, and I'm pretty sure it's probably Blondie's house because it's a house with a pool in the middle of it, and I told him I had a dream one time that I was hanging with Mary, and there was a house with her in the middle of the pool. What I didn't tell him about that dream is I was laying on the bed, and I wasn't with Mary. But I don't really care either way, because this is how childish his brain is, okay? And here's my theory. I think that portal out there in the desert enables you to see the future, and see the future. And what these fuckers do with that portal is they see other people about to achieve their greatness, and then they go out, poison them with heavy metal, shoot them in the head, and fucking kill them, and then replace it with themselves. And they go, look, I'm white, I'm right, and I'm superior. And this is my argument, because Blondie then goes, you're going to learn that Florida man is a loser and he can't break up a human trafficking ring because he's stupid and he's a coward. And I made him a coward. And Ohio man is going to be the winner. Ohio man's Reckless Ben. And he's white and he's superior and he knows he's superior. And everybody's going to think that you're a coward. And that's what's going to happen. Because I poisoned you in Mercury, and when you get the EDTA, and you move all the heavy metals out, the Mercury's going to go into your ACC, and it's going to cause you to seize up, and you'll have a seizure, and you won't be able to be brave. I'm going to get married. Once again, it wouldn't surprise me if at the end of this, regardless of Blondie's best efforts, and even if he does get her, I guess I'll just have to be okay with that. I really will. But unless he poisons her with a ridiculous amount of heavy metals, he will never figure it out. Because that's just how big his ego is. He can't see it. But I'm not going to dwell on Mary, because this isn't about Mary. This is about me having seizures down here. And me recording the fact that I was having seizures when I talked about them. I just didn't know they were seizures. I mistook them for the freeze response. And everybody was like, oh, you have ADHD and you're afraid of overwhelm. It's not ADHD. It's motherfucking heavy metal poisoning. It is motherfucking heavy metal poisoning. And it's the worst kind because it's the kind you can't get out of your fucking head. And you might go, Bobby, how are you doing this without being psychotic? You were so psychotic in all the other ones. You're threatening to kill Danielle. You're threatening to kill fucking this guy. You're threatening to kill... Yeah, I'm really mad right now, but I'm not scared. In case you can't tell, I'm just pissed. That's because I'm not telling you. It doesn't cure heavy metal poisoning. That's the problem. Yeah. As stated, Danielle, you don't fucking get it. And you'll never fucking get it. And... by the way, I realized all this shit down here wasn't about having a mental disorder. It was about Danielle convincing me I had mental disorders. Everything he did, from the Carl Jung videos to everything I was shown to even the fucking cinema guys, were all things to convince me there was something ornately weird and wrong with me. And it was to convince me of this while I was still retarded on heavy metals. That was the fucking plan. And I guess it worked. Because it got all those people killed, and it stops Danielle McGinnis from being held to account, which is what he's fucking terrified of. Going to prison where he fucking belongs. This is what happened. Okay, in a nutshell. And then he erased my mind afterwards with his bullshit. Because he's insecure. And he went on a thing, one of the things he talked about. You want to talk about me talking about Mary so much? This fucker literally went on a rant talking about how I wasn't good enough for Mary Bowberry, how I would never get Mary Bowberry, and he would kill her before I could get her, and that he was going to make me say it, and he did. He poisoned me with mercury and made me psychotic, and I said a bunch of things to kill that would have got Mary Bowberry killed, and I apologize for that, but guess what? I was fucking psychotic because I was poisoned with fucking heavy metals. And I'm tired of this heavy metal poisoning bullshit. Okay? Every fucking time I turn around, these fuckers are up to something. How the fuck is this a test? It's supposed to be a test of courage, right? My ACC is my courage circuit, and you put fucking mercury in it, and then it stopped fucking working, and I have seizures, and you're like, this is a test of courage. Does this happen to Reckless Ben? No. You are enabling a dirty cracker to win, so you can cheat. That is what you did. Nothing more. He's not superior, he just doesn't have mercury poisoning. And then Blondie was explaining to me, they poisoned him with mercury, and then he moved through it, you overwhelm the circuit, and it explodes, and I was like, and then your brain becomes 100% covered in fear, which is why you're so insecure about everything. That's what happens. I'm not into this shit, because if Blondie had everything done to him that was done to me, he would be dead. He would die like the bitch he is, because that's who he is, a little bitch. That is just my fucking take on that. Make of this what you will, but this is what happened.